My name is Nick Brown, founder of Cooking Physics, and I help professional chefs become inspirational leaders by focusing on their passion, their profession, and their personal development. Welcome. So my name is Nick Brown, and I am the founder of Cooking Physics, and I just want to share with you what is this real secret to long-term success as a chef. So we are going to talk a lot about that today. What is it that really helps you become a chef that manages to make it through the long term? Because let's face it, there's stress, there is pressure, there is the grind, there is the competition that is going on, and all of the things put together. You know, I've heard article after article how a chef has to deal with as much struggle as like a fire chief or an emergency room doctor and all these kinds of things. But how do you, as a chef, or how do you, just barely starting out, do the things that it's going to take for you to get to where you want to be without getting that burnout, without getting that exhaustion, without really pushing yourself too far to the point where you just break? Nervous breakdowns, the burnout, and all those kinds of things that happen. So today we're going to be talking a lot about what that is, what is that secret, and how can you start putting that into your daily life. So my name is Nick Brown. I'm the founder of Cooking Physics, and I welcome you to today's lesson. We're going to be talking about all of these things in a little bit more detail. So the first thing that you need to understand to be able to maintain that long-term success is understand the importance of rest. Okay, let's talk a little about that. What do I mean by rest? Well, first of all, as chefs, our hours are all over the place. We could be working several hours in a row. We could be working multiple days in a row. And we're dealing with the stresses of all those kinds of things. So the very most important thing is that we get our rest. It does mean that you make sure you get your rest when you're sleeping at night. But it's also mean take breaks during your shift. Take breaks. Take that little bit of time in between sections of your day. Go out and get out of there. I talk about this a lot because it has helped me so much. Taking those breaks really helps re-energize and get you excited about the next section of your day. Taking those breaks kind of allows you to release all the stress that happened before and really get in there and be like, okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is this. Okay, take those breaks. Make sure that you're taking those breaks. Without those breaks, one thing runs into the next, into the next, into the next. Everything is piling on top of each other and you're not able to release that stress. And at the end of the day, you are exhausted. You're tired. You know, one of the things that that kind of shocked me when I moved from that line prep kind of guy or the service guy to more of a leadership level is that some of those days where I really wasn't doing much actually active work, but I was more tired at the end of the day by teaching people, by helping, by solving problems, and all those kinds of things. I was more tired, more exhausted at the end of the day of an 8-hour day like that than I was when I was working 12-hour shifts as a line cook. And the whole thing is that as a line cook, you're just going to one thing to the next, but there's no real stress on you. It's just you get that done, boom, it's done, it's over. Next thing, boom, done, over. Next thing, boom, done, over. You know, and it's just plate after plate after plate. It's checking off those tasks, that prep list every single time. And every single time you're like, done. Okay, next, done, next, done. But when you become that kind of leadership role, all of a sudden these things that are coming at you, these issues that are coming at you, take longer. And they take time for you to think about and figure out the best plan of attack moving forward. And then the next thing comes, and the next thing comes. And so even though you're able to knock things off, they're still having that 3, 4, 5 other things that you're sitting there worrying about and thinking about. And if you're not taking the time to take those breaks, stop, relax, release the stress. Okay? Write down the issues that you're having, put it on a piece of paper so you don't forget, put it off to the side, release, okay? Pick up the paper. Which one or two things are you going to work on right now? Getting that kind of mentality, getting that kind of persistence and what's the word? Just over and over and over, okay? That you're able to really start to function a lot better because you're able to focus on only one or two tasks instead of all 15 that are on your brain. And taking those breaks, taking that time in between. If you're talking with somebody, when you're finished talking with them, don't go immediately to the next thing. Okay? Take some time. Rehash what kind of went on. Write it down. Put it off into place so that you can come back to it and back to it later. So you're not trying to remember all of that stuff. You see, as a chef, as you're growing up the ranks to become that executive chef, more and more things are going to start, invading your time, invading that time of your thought processes. Okay. And the more and more things that are pushing on that, the more exhausted and tired you're going to get. And if that starts happening, your temper starts to rise. Your patience starts to drop. Your exhaustion and your frustration with why can't anybody just do what's right? Why do they have to, mess around so much? Okay. That just kind of builds and builds and builds to the point where you just feel like snapping. So as you're progressing, as you're learning, one of the biggest things you can start to learn as to get that long-term success as a chef is to learn how to take breaks. Learn the importance of it. And take time for yourself. Because if you don't, you're not going to be very good. One of the books that I read was by, I can't remember. But the chef in this book was talking about how he would be working a long time, and he would, during the middle of the day, he would take a break, and he would go to the gym. And he would work out in the gym for about an hour, and then he'd come back to the kitchen and be fully energized and excited about it. Okay? I've had other coworkers that I've worked with that had two jobs. They were working 8 hours, 16 hours a day, plus the time that it took. So they were getting, 5-6 hours of sleep, transportation, or time that it took to get from one job to the next. And he would still take time to go work out in between jobs. And what he found was he was one of the most excited and energetic chefs that I've ever worked with. Okay. And he was just a line cook. Okay. He didn't really have any bigger responsibilities, but man, when that guy showed up, he was super excited and super, just energetic and just had all of this energy. And I'm like, how in the world do you have that energy? You're working two jobs and you're working out in between the two jobs. How? And the thing is that's how. Because he took that time, he took that break. He took that rest time away from everything else. He exercised. He built up his momentum. He built up his energy. He built up his endurance by working out. And that is how he was able to function and have two jobs, be super excited, and just have fun. When I started to realize that, I was like, oh, okay. So then, an 8-hour shift I can handle. When I get to like a 10-hour shift, I make sure that I take a half-hour break. And I just go outside. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go take a quick break. Go outside. I walk the property. I, just kind of get outside and get that relax, okay? If it turns into a 12 or 14-hour shift, that's when I get to like more than a half hour, and you start breaking that up. Or I take that half-hour break 2 or 3 different times. The whole point is that it started to build up my energy. So that is the key, that secret to a long-term success as a chef. Okay? There are many other things that I'm going to talk about as well, but that one right there is the most important thing. Take that break. Learn to take those breaks. Exercise, build up that energy and really just kind of start enjoying your life, Okay, so let's talk about some of the other ones. Okay, one of them, your mindset. What are you thinking about? When you're working, what are you thinking? Are you thinking all of the grind and all the difficult that's going on? Or are you thinking the fact that you get to serve other people? That you get to create great food? That you get to rock it? That you're going to kill it during the service time? Whichever way you're thinking, that's how your day's going to go. If you're sitting there mulling over and blah, I can't believe someone-so's doing this, and I show up and my station's a complete mess, and nobody's doing anything around here, and I have to do everything, your day's going to go horrible. But if you show up and you're like, okay, here's my prep list, man, I got a lot to work, let's do it, let's crush it, let's put it out, I'm going to kill it today. You're going to have a better day. Okay? The next thing is, as you begin to build and grow in the culinary arts, you will begin to start having to be a leader to others. Becoming that lead line cook, becoming that sous chef, becoming that executive chef. Your thoughts need to change from one of just pure production to a performance of the team. And how can you help build up that performance? How do you build the leaders? Start learning those skills. Start listening and watching other chefs that you feel are successful, and start learning how do they build their teams? How do they build their leaders? The third thing is making sure that you have that harmony between your work life and your regular life. Okay? Now, we love this. It's in our blood. It's our passion. But what else do you have? Because I can guarantee you that the cooking is not the only thing that you have passion about. There are at least one or two more things that you're passionate about, that you love to do, that are outside of work. Things that are just purely for you. Start to build on those. Start to progress. Start to really help enhance the entire life that you've got as you're building it up, okay? And also with that work-life harmony, make sure that you are paying attention to other people. Start building those relationships. We talk about the whole networking portion, it's like, oh, you go out and you do this and you do that. Yes, that's great for your profession. But what it's best for is for your own personal well-being. Being able to talk with people, being able to be out there, learning from other people, and we are social people. Cooking is all about social. The whole thing is when the village got together and they had a feast, that was their feast. They came together, they talked, they enjoyed each other's company, and they ate. And if we just sit there and cook and cook and cook and don't take care of the other half of the feasting portion, the conversations, the friendships and the relationships, then we're missing out on half of what it is that makes us who we are. The other thing is start to envision the future. Have that picture for the future. And go for it. Share that vision with the other people that you're talking with. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to see. Okay? Talk to your managers. Find out the vision that they have for the place that you're in. If you are a manager, if you are a chef, a supervisor, or whatnot, make sure that you are talking about the vision that you have until you're blue in the face. Just talk about it over and over and over. And the more that you talk about it, the more inspired your team will become. The more inspired your team becomes, the more willing they are to step up and do what is necessary to fulfill that vision. Because that vision is their vision as well. The more that they do that, the less work it is for you. That's another way for you to sustain and to be able to have that long-term success as a chef. Always work on your advancements. Always work on becoming better. Always strive to get to the next level. Okay? Where are you at right now? What's the next level? What can you do to get there? build on your personal growth. Now, that could be your professional growth, learning the skills that you need. That could be your personal growth, learning those relationships things and the things that make you a better person. Okay? And it could be the growth of your passions. Those other things that didn't have to do with work. Start to grow and develop and really build on that. Because the act of growing, the act of becoming better just ignites you and gives you energy. And the final thing is, make sure that you are taking care of your future. Because I don't care who you are. You can start saving some money. Put some aside. Put it into areas that will help you in the long term. Because one thing that is very, it really hurts, is when I see chefs that have to work because they have not saved. The chefs that aren't able to support themselves outside of that paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you make. You can start saving. Put it away. Start building that wealth. The earlier you do it, the better off you are. The earlier you do it, the less is needed at any given time. So even if you're starting out and you're barely making money, and say your check is only, $1,000, put $100 away. If you're able to put $100 away every single month, it can grow to $1 million. No joke. Okay? But it has to do with the consistency, the diligence, and the time that and the time that's invested. So if you want to have long-term success, focus on those things. Again, the first one, take your breaks. Okay? Take your breaks. Have that mindset that you're going to crush it. Build your team. Even if you're not as a chef, but you're just a line cook, start building your support network around you. Make sure that you are maintaining that harmony between work and everything else that is in your life. And make sure that you're always trying to grow. You're always striving to become better. And finally, make sure that you are saving money. Because as you're saving money and putting it away, you'll be able to build that long-term wealth, which will allow you to be successful for the long term because you're no longer having to work to survive, to get through paycheck to paycheck, where you get to work, where you have the opportunity to work, where you're able to work and do the things that you love because you love it. So thank you so very much. I am super excited to have you guys here. It is almost the holidays and you're going to be working like crazy basically starting right about now. Us culinary professionals, we're going to be working on average 15 to 20 hours of overtime for the next couple of weeks. So get out there. Remember what I talked to you about. Take those breaks. Show up with your mindset ready. And those two things right there are the things that you can do right here, right now, that are going to make immediate impact in your life. So I will see you next week. And I'm going to be talking a lot about what is coming up in the next year. So thank you so very much. And I will see you next week.